No. I will, 38 days to go in this campaign, and this pledge card shows you pretty clearly what UKIP is for. And I think, interestingly, we've got a completely distinctive plan from the other political parties. We're the only party in this campaign saying Britain should have a trade relationship with Europe, but not membership of the European Union. And directly as a consequence of that, we're the only party in this election that is actually offering a solution to the immigration crisis. The other parties who want to stay as members of the Union cannot offer that. And directly as a consequence, we're the only party that can promise £3 billion more for the National Health Service without adding to borrowing from money that we're saving in EU contributions. And we're the only party saying we don't think Britain being the biggest giver of foreign aid is a proud national achievement. We view it rather as a waste of money. We want to save £10 billion a year from our foreign aid budget, use some of it to cut the deficit and some of it to help our armed forces who are desperately short of cash. And since 2006, we fought a campaign for there to be no tax on the minimum wage. I'm pleased to say that some of the other parties are now beginning to follow, and they've upped the level at which people start paying tax. Our challenge as a party in the next 38 days is not to get people to agree with us. The vast majority of Britons agree with all 5 of those points. Our challenge is to convince people that if they want change, they've got to vote for change, and only UKIP is offering that. Thank you very much indeed.
Mr Farage, only Ed Miliband or David Cameron is going to be Prime Minister.
But neither is going to have a majority in Parliament, and that, I think, is the point. Just as it was in 2010, it's going to be about which other parties make up the balance of power, and we're perfectly clear that if we find ourselves in that responsible position after May the 7th, we will push not just for a referendum on the European question, but for a full, free and fair referendum. We fear that on his own and with others, Mr Cameron would give us something that wasn't full, free and fair.
Mr Farage, you're live on the BBC. This is your last hurrah, isn't it? If you don't win in Thanet, this is the end for you, isn't it?
Well, last year in the European elections, I was asked a very similar question. If you don't win the European elections, it's your last hurrah. We did win, and I'm playing double quits now. And I tell you what, I'm not doing this to lose.
How are you?
Fine, thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed for talking to us. So let's talk about the pledges first of all.
Yes.
Number 1 is say no to the EU.
Yes.
Did you think about which one you had to put first?
Well, unless we govern our own country, frankly, many other debates are frankly irrelevant. We're perfectly clear. We want to be friendly with Europe, trade with Europe, but make our own laws. And we don't find the fact that 75% of our legislation is made somewhere else acceptable.
But in the end, it comes down to immigration on the doorstep. That's what really resonates with supporters. So are you trying to broaden out your appeal?
No, the great British public understand that as members of the European Union, the so-called British passport, which incidentally the first 2 words of which are European Union, is now something that nearly 500 million people effectively have. You cannot have an immigration policy, you cannot control numbers as members of the European Union. People get that.
Now, I notice your face is rather prominent on this pledge card. Is there a problem that UKIP is Farage, Farage is UKIP? Have you got other spokespeople as well?
Well, no, you just saw some of them standing in front of the truck. I mean, the thing about UKIP, we have become the most eclectic, diverse political party. We've got all shades of opinion. We've got people from the left, people from the right, people from all ages, all classes, all races. We are, quite reflective, I think, now, as a party of what modern Britain is.
One of the biggest problems you have is the electoral system itself, that although you're polling around 14%, the likelihood is you're probably only going to get a handful and a small handful of MPs. Isn't that fair to say?
Well, I've always thought there should be electoral reform, but that, frankly, is irrelevant in the next 38 days. Yes, this is very hard for us, and it's hard for us because, you find good UKIP support in Labour constituencies and in Conservative constituencies. Yes, that's a challenge, but what we have to do is to get over the line in enough seats in this general election campaign, and then you'll see how many seats we've actually come second in, and you'll realise, as a part of the longer-term strategy, this really could become a big party in British politics.
Last question. Are you confident of winning your own constituency in Thanet South? You've got quite a fight on your hand there.
Oh, hell of a fight. Yes, absolutely. I mean, there are easier seats that, that I could have gone for. I'm confident, but certainly not complacent.
Mr Farage, thank you very much indeed.
Confessing to Newsnight, there are conversations about working with the Tories in government.
Have you had any conversations with Conservatives not currently in UKIP about working with them after the election?
Not really.
Not really?
Not really.
Any?
That doesn't mean none at
Not-
all.
Not formally, no.
Informally?
Informally, in politics, round the corner, in the places that politicians frequent, these sort of conversations
Labour and
happen
Lib
all the
Dem.
time. But no, look, we are committed. We are committed to pushing, to using whatever influence we have in Parliament to get a referendum.